Hi again, everybody. Chef Ketko back, and now I'm going to show you the other dish that will be part of this Indian meal. Okay, my rice pilaf is just about done. Okay, but now I want to start on the chicken curry in a hurry. All right, so what we're going to do is go on ahead, take our, and again, I may neglect to say, instead of using that ghee, I'm using something in Hindi we call uzli ghee or vegetable oil. Okay, so okay, gonna go on ahead, add a little bit of vegetable oil, and I have my heat about medium high, and there's a certain pattern when you make a curry. There's a lot of variations, of course, uh, but curry, and people sort of have a misimpression of exactly what curry is. Curry is as much as a spice mix, because we think of curry powder. Technically, it's more of a cooking method. And his cooking method, and by the way, what I'm doing now, I'm taking whole mustard seeds, a whole spice, and I'm just going to put it right in the oil, like so. I'm going to wait for it to pop. Okay, really brings out the flavor. But curry is a cooking method where we simmer something, meat, chicken, even fish, straight vegetables, in a flavorful sauce. So first step, okay, is to take a whole spice. Once again, in this case, these are golden mustard seeds, and I don't know if you could see it, but they are popping away. Okay, I think you can see it now. Okay, I'm gonna lower the heat because one thing I don't want to do, I don't want to burn them. Burn them will give it a bitter flavor. I do smell them. Some of them popping out of the pan. Now I'm going to add my aromatic vegetable in the form of onions. Um, you could use white onions, red onions, you could use shallots, you could use leeks, you could use green onions, okay? But usually a member of that family is part of this process. So whole spices, you know, I mean, some recipes will call for things like cumin seeds, caraway seeds. A lot of times it will be either brown or yellow, I said golden for mustard seeds. And I'm going to be cooking this more of a lower heat, more of a gentle heat, because number one, the spices I have already in there, I don't want to burn, so I don't want the heat too high. Number two, I want to try to evenly brown my onions. Now, the amount that you brown your onions depends upon what type of curry you're making. Sort of like darker types of curry, like for example, you're making a lamb curry, we may really give it a very um, darker type of brown. Here we're going to give it once again a light golden color, and because that's really going to be the nature of the sauce. Okay, kind of like a yellowish golden color. Okay, but just kind of control the heat a little bit. You know, other types of curries like a fish curry, we may just barely cook the onions at all. So it really has to do with the kind of color and appearance of the curry that you want to achieve. The darker color the sauce, the more you cook the onions. The, lighter color the sauce, the less you cook the onions. It does have an impact on flavor. And once again, that beautiful aroma that's coming up, real nicely. Okay. Okay, about a minute more. Excuse me, one moment. Okay, let's see how that's doing. That's doing pretty well. Let me just show you what I have in the pan so far. And I'm just gonna set the heat up a little bit more. Yeah, and you want to stir it. You don't have to keep on constantly stirring it, but You want to stir it occasionally. You want to make sure that it will brown nice and evenly. Okay, the next thing I'm going to be adding, I'm going to add my finely chopped fresh aromatics. Again, they would be some finely chopped fresh ginger. Okay, chopped garlic. This garlic ginger combination is something you find so often in Indian cooking, especially when you're making curries. And indeed, each time I add an aromatic, you get another hit of the aroma. Okay, gonna add just a little more oil. And this particular version of curry, a lot of times when we make a chicken curry, we'll cook the chicken on the bone, and there's something to be said for that. Okay, insofar as a lot of times, when things are cooked on the bone, people feel it's cooks more juicier, okay, more flavorful, but it takes longer to cook. So what we have here, we have boneless and skinless turkey breast. Okay, so skinless, you have a little less fat going in there. And I cubed it up in about half an inch pieces. I'll already season it with salt and pepper. So this is going to cook, very, very quickly. Instead of like about 35, 40 minutes, if I was cooking like chicken pieces on the bone, this is going to take like maybe 10 minutes. That's it. Okay. All right. So we are just about there. In fact, let me just show you real quickly what it looks like, okay, in the pan. Okay, full of aroma, full of flavor. Okay, so now the next step, okay, we're going to add our ground up dried spices. So what I have here, okay, I have cumin. I have turmeric, and I have coriander, coriander seed, I should say. Okay, that's going to go in as well. And I want to be real careful. I want to be real careful. Okay, insofar as that I want to watch the heat and the amount of time that I'm cooking this right in the pan. Certainly, I want it to cook in the pan because, as I said before, this is how we really amplify the flavors of all these spices and really increase them, really intensify them. But if I cook at too high heat, if I cook it too long, once again they'll begin to burn and they could get somewhat bitter. Okay, so like another minute. The next thing we're going to do, okay, let me check my rice real quickly. We're cooking in real time. So we have to check things while they are progressing. Aha. All right, let's take a look. Okay, very nice. Let me just check the texture of the grains. Okay, I'm going to give it another 3-4 minutes. And let me put this on the back there for a moment. And back in the oven for a little while. So now what we're going to do, okay, so my spice is well cooked. I'm going to start to add some of my liquids. Okay, we have some tomato puree. And that goes. And you notice something, everything gets cooked, okay, in the pan. This too is to really intensify the flavor of the tomato. You know, we just don't just add everything all at once while it's simmering. We want that direct heat from the pan to really build up those flavors in an intense way. That's why Indian food is so flavorful. And you could see how the tomatoes, you know, kind of turn like a nice rusty red. Then what we're going to do is proceed. I have coconut milk. Okay, I'm going to add about half of this. Okay, going to add about half of this. And in cooking of like India and South Asia in general, okay, there's always a balance. So you got plenty of spice, which reminds me, I'm going to add my half a green chili. But you also have things that will balance out the spice, whether it's richness, like by adding cream or coconut milk or even yogurt. Okay, or tamarind. Tamarind has that sweet sour component to it. Uh, but you know, sort of the idea is you balance heat, you know, with richness, in some case with sweetness. Okay, so now what we have, let me just show you what it looks like. Okay, so a very, very thick sauce. I'm going to add my chicken, everybody in the pool, so to speak. Mixed up real nicely. And last but not least, I'm going to add, okay, I have some chicken broth. And again, I'm using all supermarket stuff. I didn't really have to go, you know, to and let's say a Indian market for this. I could have, but all this is from the supermarket, very accessible. You know, when I'm using prepared stock of broth, I try to find low sodium that has less salt, because when we cook this and we simmer it, okay, you know, it gets concentrated. So if it gets a little less salt, less of a chance that the finished product will be salty. Okay, so broth goes inside, stir it up real well. Okay, just a touch more. Don't want to add too much liquid because, number one, I'm going to add a little more coconut milk a little later on. Number two, once the chicken cooks, it's really going to give off a lot of liquid. So right now it's kind of thick, but that won't be for long. As the liquid cooks and that liquid starts to come out of the chicken. All right, so right now, okay, let me just show you what it looks like. And then what we are going to do is proceed. And I'm going to cover this, keep it at a low heat. Okay, cover it this way for now. All right, low and slow. I don't want it at too high heat. Too high heat, what's going to happen is that the chicken might get tough and chewy. So nice gentle heat, probably around, I would say 12 to 14 minutes. That's good to go. Time to get my rice out of the oven. Okay. Just wondering where the top of the pan went to. Okay. And I don't know if you could see how nice and gently bubbling this is, that's kind of what you want. You don't want it to cook that much more quickly than it already is doing right now. Okay, so there, there. Let me just show you the rice real quickly. Okay, so I'm going to let this rice rest in the pan off the heat covered. So we let it steam a little bit, and then it should be ready to fluff up and be ready to serve. And I'll see you in a few minutes, and we'll put everything together at that point. Okay, see you soon.